we can't talk to her on Thanksgiving. She'll be in the kitchen up to her eyeballs in gravy, but she checks in now. Kathy Helbig with the Kathy Helbig Group. Good morning, Kathy Helbig.
Good morning.
We're just talking off the air.
Yes.
Buyer's market right now.
A little bit, yeah. We've got a few weeks that it's a window for buyers to really get out there and take advantage. Sometimes sellers are thinking about taking their houses off the market right now. If you're seeing houses come on the market right now, it's because they're motivated to sell.
Right.
And buyers have kind of pulled back with the rates going up and down, and they think, I'm tired, it's the holidays. So if you're really wanting to get a deal on a house, this next week or two is really that window that we see traditionally. You get the best deals of the year.
That's really very interesting. I guess it kind of makes sense. If your house is on the market, people don't want to have to go through showing their house through the holidays.
Yes.
Just
we
get
have to
it
beg
done.
people not to take their house off the market right now because we know there is a pool of buyers out there that buys during the holidays. So, you do have this working for you that sellers are starting to get a little nervous that their house might not sell by the end of the year. So then a little nervous means they're a little bit more negotiable.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Good to know.
And then rates kind of went down again last week. They went up a little bit, but they're still in the mid to upper sixes. We're still seeing the 2-1 buy down be a really, really good option for buyers to negotiate with.
Right.
So remember to use that in your pocket. And then the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now is seller and buyer sentiment is wonky. Like sellers are still trying to get their head off a swivel of coming off of this great market for them. And buyers are kind of like wanting to stick it to the sellers.
Right.
So working with your emotions right now is really, really key in trying to get what you want. You know the saying, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. What is that?
Yes.
How it goes?
Yeah.
So when you're going in to negotiate, I mean, you're dealing with, I know you've been beat up as a buyer, but you're going to get so much farther if you go in with an offer and you're respectful with it and you give reasons behind it and your agent is respectful, because the sellers sometimes just, they're not ready to quite to have the dirt kicked on them.
Right.
And I'm seeing deals fall apart over just a few $1,000s because of emotions that's coming into play.
Somebody gets their back stiffened and their egos get involved.
Yes,
You
exactly.
really, I've done enough of this with you, and you've talked me off the ledge a couple times, to where it's got to work for both the buyer and the seller.
Exactly. And then as a tip for the seller, if you have a bunch of showings and you're not getting offers, then you need to make an adjustment, whether it be adding something to your features, whether it be the price. But if you're getting 20, 30 showings and you're not getting an offer, then it means the market is rejecting your price or your condition right now. So
the market's talking to you. You have to listen to the market.
The market talks, and you have to listen to it.
Talk about that 2-for-1 buy down, because this is really interesting. And you need, speaking about the buyers and the sellers working together, you need the buyers and the sellers to work together for this.
Correct. So what you're doing is you're asking the seller to give you a credit for a 2-1 buy down. So there's a certain percentage, like the 2-1 buy down means you're going to buy down the rate 2 points for the first year, 1 point for the second year. So it doesn't make sense for the buyer to buy it down, right? So it makes only sense if you ask the seller to give you a credit towards that 2-1 buy down. So in essence, it's like the difference in the payment for that 2 points is put in an escrow account to help make your payment for those first 2 years, and then it adjusts for the next year. So it really lowers your interest rate for the next few years, while we probably are going to see a refinance boom come back into play.
Right.
So it buys you some time to be at lower payments instead of the seller having to drop the price, which really isn't putting money in your pocket as a buyer. It just changes your payment slightly, but buying the rate down changes your payment significantly. So you can get into that house now and not fear that you're overpaying in interest rates.
So the seller says, instead of lowering my price by $10,000, I'll buy your rate down for $10,000.
Right. Correct.
So
or I'll lower it by 5 and buy it down 5.
So the seller gets the same money.
Correct.
The buyer pays the same price, but they're paying a lower interest rate.
But lowering the price by $10,000 is not going to lower that buyer's payment enough to make a difference. But buying the rate down 2 points is.
How do you do that? Does the buyer's agent offer that to the seller? Does the seller's agent offer that to the buyer? How does that work?
Yes, it's starting to be talked about a little bit more now. So hopefully more agents are starting to get with the program. But yes, it is a combination conversation between the buyer's agent and the listing agent. I would explain, because you don't necessarily want to assume everybody knows what it is.
Right.
And then bring your lender, get your lender involved, because they will have to figure out what, pretty much the exact amount is that they're trying to ask for in the credit.
Right.
And then you just put that into your offer and make sure the seller knows what it's going for. They understand what the credit is for. And then here's the thing for the buyer. Let's say rates go down 6 months from now and you've got a 2-1 buy down in place. that money's yours.
Right.
It doesn't go back to the seller.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting deal. But again, going back to, you can't be trying to stick it to the buyer and you can't be trying to stick it to the seller.
Right.
You guys got to work together.
You're just not going to get as far as you could be if you're strategic in your negotiations, keeping the seller's emotions in mind.
And as I say this, I fully admit that you had to walk me off the ledge a couple of times, saying these buyers, these sellers.
A lot of people off the ledge.
Yeah. Once again, educating the world on real estate. 314-276-SOLD. 314-276-SOLD or KathyHelbiggroup.com. Any plans for Thanksgiving?
Always a house full at my house. We start cooking right after the show.
There you go. Enjoy. Thanks for everything. Happy Thanksgiving, and give my best to the family.
Thank you. You too.